Game engine. Wait, that's a car. The core of any game is the game engine. There are many options out there, from Unspoken Horse of the Dark Realm to Unspoken Horse of the Dark Realm in disguise this time. Jokes aside, today we'll talk about the engine I chose and why. I'm simonhytte and welcome to the gamedevspirit. If you haven't seen the last video, make sure to check out that first. An engine selection will always depend on the game you're making. If it's a 3D platformer, it will be approached differently from a 2D visual novel. Let's talk about the common options in depth.
Before time began, there was the cube.
Unity. We all know Unity from those cash grab or amateur games. The Unity logo is a punchline at this point. However, don't be fooled. Unity is great and a powerful engine
powered by the Elder Gods.
It can run export to many places, is free, and has great support from its community. Hollow Knight, Hearthstone, Cuphead, Ori and the Blind Jungle, Return of the Obra Dinn, Subnautica are all great games that run on this engine, and it can do so much more. It can do 2D and 3D quite well, so you can transition easily between them. But I feel like I need to mention this one thing, and that's the Unity incident. On September 12, 2023, Unity announced that by the beginning of January 1st, 2024, its pricing for developers would include a runtime fee. A new 20-cent fee charged every time a player installed a game after the title has reached 200,000 downloads and $200,000 in revenue. That policy would not only impact games made after the changes, but eligible games that had already been released. Essentially,
What the hell?
this is the most anti-developer policy ever released in the history of mankind. Although, later they backed down from this policy, the message is clear. Unity can sweep the rug from under you at any time, and that's dangerous. If you have a passion project you are working years on, grinding every night, you cannot exactly switch engines easily in the middle of development. So, long term this sucks a big bark. So this is where my theory comes in. Think about it. Unity? Where did you hear that before in gaming? That's right, Assassin's Creed. Unity is Assassin's Creed. Their offices look like the evil Assassin's Creed company. They put microtransactions in their games, and they have hidden blades in their bots. It's clear as a day that they're just, the copy of the thing. Just look at their logo, it's literally the same thing, but it's rotated. Godot is a rising open source engine, and it's a great one. Its 3D and 2D capabilities rival Unity, and its asset store is free. This is awesome considering the Unity incident. It's like the opposite of what they did. Godot has its own development language, the Godot script, which is interesting, but I was told that it's both easy to learn, but also annoying for people who would rather just use C#, which is supported, but you get the impression that it's not the ideal way to work with Godot. So, yeah. Another engine is the Gamemaker, a simpler engine to learn due to its friendlier nature for non-coders, so it's very visual. Pricing isn't too significant, they're pushing monthly subscription, but you can still get a permanent license from what I know. Some notable Gamemaker games are Katana Zero, Undertale, Hyperlife Drifter, and Hotline Miami, so it's definitely an engine suitable for smaller 2D games. There are loads of other engines suitable for other games, but for the sake of our game and this video, we'll not be looking into Unreal Engine and RPG Maker and games like that. I've seen a lot of people mention a Roblox Studio, so I thought it might be funny to check it out together, so I'm gonna walk you through my first impressions. So after I made an account, I was greeted with this page, the home page. The homepage is a collection of bright colors massaging my visual cortex with IP infringement and a lot of clickbait. I went to the Create tab, make anything you can imagine, like doors? Well, I don't need to imagine that. So I picked up my courage and ventured forward into the Roblox app. I began the tutorial. As you can notice, this workspace isn't that different from any real app. Wait, why is on the road? Well, no time to answer, because I'm currently doing a great job. Got it! Fantastic! That's right! Just like that! Change max speed. Okay. Whoa! That was fast! And as you know, any cute game has a McDonald's in it. And a generic park bench. After experiencing the Roblox Studio for the first time, I would say that I have better understanding of it. The first thing I want to point out is that for a beginner messing around, this editor is awesome. It reminds me more of a level editor in a game rather than an actual game engine used to make games. The Roblox Studio heavily relies and/or pushes you to use assets from their toolbox. This means the developer is encouraged to not make those assets on their own. The side effect of this is that many games have this asset flip sheen. You can feel it from the game itself. It's where they look closer to Mega Zombie Explosion rather than any real game. So which engine I'm going to use? I started developing games on Unity with a friend, but for me it does not matter that much since I'm not handling the coding in this case. Unity is nice and was our first option, but considering the state it's in and what could happen to it, it's very annoying. Godot is a good replacement for Unity and I like its approach to game development. It's entirely free, forever, the community is awesome. When I was talking about the asset flip sheen, with Godot, you kind of get this open source project feeling. If you open up Audacity or Blender, well, Blender is looking pretty good right now, but you still get that feeling like, okay, some of these things are kind of not entirely thought through, but these are things you can work around and develop your solution around, so it's not a bad thing entirely, so don't worry about it that much. I'm not some authority on choosing an engine though, so for you, any engine should suffice. Most of them work the same and it's a bit of a personal choice and where your strengths and weaknesses lie. So if you can't stand coding, for example, going for Gamemaker or RPG Maker is a valid choice depending on your ambitions and the game you want to make. Ultimately, the engine is just your toolbox. Different tools fit different people more, but what matters is what you do with them. Embers of Spirit Flame, the game I'm making, I've expanded the concept a bit since the last time and wrote my own logline. Embers of Spirit Flame is an emotional point-and-click detective adventure about the exploration of an abandoned house. Inside, the player goes through comic book inspired levels and begins to uncover who the owners were and where they went. Using a device, the Spirit Scanner, view events and memories of what happened there and piece together the story. The comic book aesthetic is something I'll touch on a bit later in level design, but it's something I've been inclined to do since my work on Spirit Flame. Spirit Flame is the bigger RPG I'm making. This is like a prequel, a little silly prequel. Since they're happening in the same universe, it's simpler for me for the prequel to inherit this aesthetic. I'll talk about the lore a bit here so we're on the same page. There's an item the player uses to watch memories that happened in that place, which will be symbolized by these little flames. The spirit flames. I am not quite convinced about the item name called Spirit Scanner. Go ahead and visit embersofspiritflame.com. So you can vote for one of these 4 options, and in the next devlog you will be able to see the results and a new poll for another thing in the game you can influence. So every episode, which comes out every 14 days, from this one it's 14 days, it's on Saturday every time. Yay! I've been simonhytte and you keep barking at the right trees. Bye! After the title has reached 200,000 Donalds? Yeah, Simon, I think people are downloading McDonald's.